This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. Topping news tonight, as 2021 comes to a close, the nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, delivering an address to the nation detailing his government's accomplishments in the first 100 days in office and the way forward in the fight against the global pandemic. The Davis administration wasting no time getting to work for the Bahamian people. It's been just over 3 months into their term in office, and Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis says some promises outlined in their proposed blueprint for change have already been fulfilled.
In these first 100 days, we have reduced VAT to 10%, a change that will take place in 2 days' time. You've seen an enormous rebound in our number one industry. We have eliminated the burden of the travel visa for Bahamians. We ended the competent authority, which was just another name for rule by one man. We ended curfews, and in the months that followed, restaurants and other businesses began to prosper, and our COVID case numbers went down. We've also moved quickly to end a number of contractual obligations that were a very bad deal for the Bahamian people. All Bahamians will feel the benefit of reduced VAT immediately. You will have a little more money in your pocket. And when you spend that money, the government will make up the revenue which would otherwise have been lost by the rate cut.
The most vulnerable among us ranking high on this government's agenda. Prime Minister Davis says social assistance has been enhanced for those who need it most.
We have enhanced social assistance to the most vulnerable in our society. And in the past 2 weeks, workers and pensioners received the cash payments we promised to provide. We have made other changes as well in accordance with our New Day values. Take today. This weekly press conference, which began during our second week in government. Our press secretary and director of communications have introduced many ministers and other public officials who have given full and detailed briefings on matters of national importance.
The nation's leader assuring Bahamians that there is plenty of light at the end of the tunnel, and he's optimistic about the country's ability to not only recover, but also to thrive.
We are determined to build economic growth that lifts all lives, and we are putting in place the foundation we need to get there. The bad news is that we likely have a very difficult 1 or 2 months ahead of us. As everyone knows by now, the 2 strains of COVID that are circulating, Delta and Omicron, are very, very contagious. Omicron, even more so than Delta, which was already many times more transmissible than the original COVID virus strain.
And despite the continued fight against the COVID pandemic, the Prime Minister says, for now, there are no plans for the implementation of any additional restrictive measures.
Our economic crisis has been so prolonged and so severe that I am not considering any serious shutdown of economic activity. As I've said, many Bahamians are earning their first steady paychecks in a long time. Many fragile, small Bahamian-owned businesses are just starting to recover. And as a country, we are taking important steps to economic recovery. So blunt instruments like shutting our borders or prolonged nationwide lockdowns are off the table. Instead, our COVID policy is focused on giving Bahamians support to reduce their risk and on expanding our hospital capacity to accommodate any increase in hospitalizations.
But he says his government is taking the necessary health and safety precautionary steps to ensure that Bahamians safeguard themselves against COVID-19.
Wearing these masks properly is one of the most effective ways to reduce transmission of this virus. These masks protect both the person wearing the mask and others near that person. NEMA is beginning today to distribute these masks to clinics and to vaccine sites under the able leadership of Captain Russell, Ms. Gail Munker, and Petty Officer Ingram. I want to thank them for springing into action and helping us get these protective masks to people, while the distribution will continue in the days to come.
Prime Minister Davis is urging Bahamians who are not vaccinated to get the jab as soon as possible and to continue to follow all health and safety protocols. 207 new COVID-19 cases recorded on the dashboard for December 29th, along with one new death. The new data reflects 192 cases in New Providence, 13 in Grand Bahama, 1 in Abaco, and 1 in Exuma. The latest COVID-19 victim, a 72-year-old male of Grand Bahama. Meantime, 34 of the new cases are persons who have a recent history of travel. There are currently 1,773 active cases. 23 persons are hospitalized, one of them in intensive care. The death toll stands at 717. Well, during today's national press conference, the nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, responded to questions about the Oban deal, a proposed mega development for East Grand Bahama.
Well, the Oban deal, we still are trying to find the files. We're still trying to determine what the deal is really all about. We have had no contact with any of the principals of that arrangement, and whether they are still interested in pursuing it, we do not know. But the deal that we know, what we know from the public pronouncements, is not a kind of deal that my administration could embrace.
Well, the Minister for Grand Bahama is weighing in on another deal on Grand Bahama that the government was not pleased with, the Grand Lucayan deal. The Honorable Ginger Moxie says she is optimistic that the Davis administration can secure a better deal when it comes to the sale of that hotel property. The government recently terminated the deal for the sale of the property to Royal Caribbean. After the Minister administration purchased the resort for $65 million from Hutchison Whampoa in 2018, Royal Caribbean and the ITM Group signed an agreement to purchase it for $50 million in March of 2020. Minister of Tourism and Aviation and Investments, the Honorable Chester Cooper, insisted it was a bad deal. Stay with us, there's more news after this.